It's all about people going out there and flying and having a good time. It's a great sport, and it's a real social thing, and it should be fun. It shouldn't be hard.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello everyone, this is Randy Goers and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 67. Have you been wondering if there's an easy way to connect with other drone racing pilots? Well, today's guest not only has a way to connect with other drone racers, but he's developed a system to easily plan and manage drone racing events. Pete Mauro is the CEO and founder of Drone Squad, a Los Angeles-based drone racing startup. A mobile app developer himself, Pete created a mobile app that connects local pilots for fun and competition. He's here to talk about the Drone Squad mobile app, how it works to connect pilots and manage drone racing events, and what it's like starting a new drone-based mobile app company. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Pete to introduce himself.
Hi, my name's Pete Mauro, and I'm the founder of Drone Squad. And we're a Los Angeles-based startup, and we've created an app that connects drone pilots for fun and competition.
How does the app work? What does it actually do when you say connect pilots for competition?
Yeah, so if you went to the iOS or Android store and downloaded our app and opened it up and registered, you would see a list of all the drone meetups and events that are happening near you, and you'd instantly start receiving push notifications anytime there was a new set of pilots that had organized something nearby. So it really keeps you in touch with your local flying community. And then we also have like a whole set of tools for meetup organizers to plan and run the events. So we've got a bunch of things for race directors to handle logistics, and lets anyone really host a world-class event using our app on their mobile phone.
Where'd the impetus for this app come from?
Let's see. I started flying FPV back in 2012 for fun. Back then, people would see me walk up with a quadcopter and some goggles and look at me like I was crazy. But eventually, I wasn't the only guy doing it at the flying field. Next thing you know, there's a whole bunch of folks. At the time, I was working for Nokia and Microsoft, making mobile apps for a while, and I thought, it'd be really cool to actually do something for myself. I've been, making apps for other companies for years and years, and such a big fan of drones, and I'd take a look at that and see what the opportunities were. Around that time, drone racing was starting to become, folks were starting to come together for things like the first Drone Nationals, and there was starting to be some interest there. So I just started talking to pilots, local pilots. I started to attend events, and I just wanted to learn, what were some of the problems that people had out there. I mean, I definitely had challenges. The field that I used to go to every Friday to fly at was now filled with FPV guys, and it sort of broke out into mayhem. Everyone's crashing and frequency conflicts, and it used to be like a fun time to go and hang out, and now it was like really stressful. So I knew I had a problem. It was also tough for me to find people to fly with, but I talked to a bunch of people out there, and they were kind of echoing the same things. There's so many different places where people are talking about drones. It's hard to kind of keep track. They're on Facebook, they're on Slack or private messaging groups or meetup.com. And so the pilot said, hey, we want to find out when other people are flying, or where we can go and meet up with other people to do this. The other thing pilots said was, don't want to miss out on opportunities to fly. And, even if I belong to a group on Facebook for my local flying club, I've got I'm flooded with notifications from everything from, my sister posting a picture of her baby to an unboxing video from Hobby King, but I'm missing out on the most important notification is, there's a meetup tomorrow, and that's the one I want to know. So when you get a notification from our app, it's about flying.
Where does the information come from on your app? How does it get populated with the information that people are picking up?
We came out of beta recently and been growing like crazy. We're in over 55 countries. And geez, last time I checked, I think something like 575 cities. So we've got a bunch of people that are using the app, and, we just reached out to a lot of meetup organizers and other folks and starting to encourage them to list their events. And so you open the app now and you'll see a whole bunch getting listed. So the people that are really driving the content in there are folks that are organizing meetups and races.
everybody that's hosting an event or an activity, they enter it and you're able to compile it in a way that it goes out to users?
Yeah, so the way it works is, let's say I wanted to have a fun flyer race this weekend. I would go into Drone Squad and create a new event and just punch in some information, give it a name and a time, and you can drop a pin on the map to provide the exact location of where you're going to meet and any other details you want to add. The frequency list is there, so people know what the options will be ahead of time so they can get their gear ready. When the meetup organizer is done, it'll send a blast out to all the local pilots. So anyone that's within, I think their radius is about 60 miles, maybe it's 80, will get a push notification saying, hey, there's a new meetup near you. So that's a great tool to help meetup organizers kind of promote their event. But then they can also share that out to social media, and they just copy a link and it'll render a nice Facebook post showing all the information that they need.
Anytime you get a bunch of people on a network, it seems to go off in different directions and creating its own kind of organic growth. Are you seeing any of that with the kind of sharing that's going on?
Well, I'm really happy to say that a lot of people are sharing their meetups. I think one thing that I've learned that's kind of an interesting dynamic is that there's some people that don't want to share their meetup. And so one of my big feature requests is, can I post the event but only share it with certain people? And I said, well, why do you want to do that? I said, well, I don't want a bunch of people showing up. I can handle 10, 15 people, but I don't want 30, 40 people showing up. I wouldn't be ready for that. Or maybe it's at a secret flying spot that they don't want to share. So we learned some of those things talking to our early users, and we're working on some solutions there that I don't want to stifle the community in any way. I don't want to create this sort of underground group of folks that are out there flying. But I understand if someone's having a tiny whoop party at their house, they don't want a random stranger showing up.
So tell me about the race management function.
So the race management aspect of the app is really the bulk of, where we put our effort so far. And you wouldn't know it by opening up the app, because until you start running a race, you don't see the functionality. But it's actually really, really extensive, and race directors love it. So what it will do is it'll allow the race directors sort of pick the frequencies that they're going to use at the event, and then the pilots who can RSVP in our app will show up on race day, and they can enter the event. And once they do, they can jump into a heat, and the app will manage all the heats. And when it's someone's turn to fly, it'll send the pilot a push notification. Actually, it'll do it ahead of time. It'll say, hey, you're up next, or you're coming up soon. And then when it's actually your turn, you'll get another push notification. So race directors love that because it's keeping everyone sort of in line and on their toes and informed. The pilots love it because they don't have to sit there and worry about missing out on their chance to fly. They can go back to the pits and or hang out with their friends while they wait for their turn, and the app will let them know when it's ready. So it'll handle all that, the heats, and allow people to enter in the time or points depending on the system that you're using. It'll track the results and show real-time standings. So it actually has a lot of great features.
Has it been used in any major events yet?
Oh, yeah. So our big sort of launch event coming out of beta was we did the LA FPV Drone Nationals qualifier here in Los Angeles. And that was, one of the qualifying events. There's 75 pilots that came to that. We had a great race, LAFPV, and helped put that on with FPV Aces, and we supported the logistics. And so we had 75 pilots, a couple hundred spectators, and it was great because the feedback was awesome, because spectators got a lot out of our app as well, because now for the first time, you can sort of just take this app out of your pocket and you can see exactly what's going on. So I could see who's flying, what channel they're on, who they are. You see their profile picture. And so now I've almost got this TV guide or something. I could follow along with the race and change the channel on my goggles and see who's in the lead and all that stuff.
Being in Tampa, Florida, I could just get the app and I could download and follow a race that's halfway across the country. Is that true?
That's right. So spectating can happen anywhere. So you could have joined a LAFPV event and followed along. A lot of times you see people live streaming events, either sort of in an official way with a professional setup. But a lot of times people will just Facebook stream events, and you would just pull up our app and you could follow along and actually, kind of see what's happening. The announcer that day, we had a great announcer, and got a great note from him afterwards saying how helpful the app was, because he had all the information right there about, who was flying, and you could see who was on what channel and look at the monitors and really improve his play-by-play or his announcing of the race.
It works on Android and Apple devices, so it can work on a tablet as well as the phones.
Yeah, it works on all platforms, iOS and Android. That was a really important decision that we made up front. A lot of companies will just start support with one device, maybe pick Android because it's the largest. But, with our app, it's a critical component to being at the race. And, we want everyone to be able to use it so they can get those notifications, so they can see what their standings are and, see who they're flying with and not have to go run somewhere to ask someone else or grab a printout and whatnot.
What's the cost for users?
It's free.
Oh, is it? Okay.
There's no cost for pilots and there's no cost for event organizers. It's not going to be that way forever. We're going to start introducing, we are a business. It's expensive to make good software. So we're looking at different ways to generate some revenue here. We're going to start bringing in some sponsors who are really interested in reaching this audience. And then, as we evolve our tools, our race management tools, and, I think pretty soon we'll have a really complete package. And I think at that point, it would probably make sense to figure out how we could charge people for that.
Mm-hmm. So let's turn a little bit towards the business. Can you talk about the evolution of going from the idea of developing an app to launching a business?
Well, it's funny, the idea for this, or the idea to get involved in a drone racing app, sort of first came to me back in 2014. And back then I was working on an augmented reality project with Nokia and DreamWorks. And then moved over to Microsoft, and I was working with HoloLens, which is a mixed reality. So I really had sort of this MR, AR, as they call it in the business, stuff top of mind. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if, I was out there with my goggles on and there was like a virtual course that was superimposed and I could fly through it, like with air gates and all that stuff. I'm like, that would be awesome. And so I said, why can't I do this? So I get some help from a buddy at Disney Imagineering, who's a great 3D guy, and he helped me kind of create a concept video so I could share it with some folks and get some feedback. And, everyone was like, oh my God, that is so cool. You need to figure out how to make that. So, so in my off time while I was working at Microsoft, I was working on that project, and I ended up creating a technical proof of concept and created an app that would lay out a course on top of video. But what we learned is that, and actually I haven't told this story to anyone publicly, but what we learned is that just the technology wasn't there yet. There was too much latency and the sensors weren't accurate enough, so we just couldn't do it. So I said, okay, we'll stick a pin in that and come back to it. And so that's when I turned to other ideas. And so really for me, it was really just about starting the business was about first talking to customers or potential customers. I've been making software products for 20 years, mobile for the past 10, and I've made a ton of products that nobody ever really wanted. I learned my lesson. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, I kind of wised up and got a little bit better at it. A lot of people saying, you really got to get out of the building and talk to people first and make sure that there's actual problem that people have. So that's where I started just going to race after race and events and talking to as many pilots as I could. I talked to hundreds of pilots. So once I figured out that there were some problems out there, then it was a matter of, coming up with a solution and mocking that up. The way that I work when I, work on a software project is to try to figure out, what's the cheapest way to learn something. So if I'm trying to figure out, do people really need help, managing their frequencies at a meetup? Well, I'm gonna figure out a really inexpensive way to get that feedback. So we created paper prototypes, and then we created click-through prototypes. And so before we wrote one line of code, we're already out there talking to people and showing them something. So I think that was, really important. And then once we started to get some of that early validation and said, okay, we think we're onto some things here and what people want, then we started to, started to code. And we went furiously for a period of 3 months. And we released a new version of the app every week. We'd share it. We'd take it to a meetup. We'd show it to a bunch of people. We'd run it at a meetup. We'd get a ton of feedback, taking all these notes and compile all the information. And then on Monday morning, we'd decide, okay, well, what did we learn and what are we going to do this week? And just kept on doing that over and over again. And after spending a couple hundred hours at meetups and a lot of different long days and nights, we sort of came up with our beta.
And how long has the beta been out there?
So I guess probably a couple months now.
Okay. Is Drone Squad now a company that you're running full time and launching it as a startup, or is it an app that is just being produced for the market?
I'm running this company full time, have been since the beginning of the year, received some funding from some angel investments to get us started. And so we've got a team here in Los Angeles that's working on the app.
Great. Is this the first time that you've launched your own company, or have you done this before?
Oh, no. I mean, I've worked at a bunch of companies in the past, everywhere from 10 people to 100,000 people. And so I spend half my time with big companies and half my time with startups. And I've launched about 3 or 4 companies in the past.
So this is sort of a rerun for you, sort of applying what you've learned in the past.
Yeah, I mean, you learn so much. I mean, the key to this is just to being an entrepreneur, really, is just to feel comfortable making a lot of mistakes, learning from it, and moving on, and just being resilient. And that's really what this whole experience has been. Is it's really a learning process, and you just try to do it, learn inexpensively, fail fast. That's kind of what I've learned about startups over the years.
And where do you see the company going, or how this app fits into the overall growth of the drone racing spectrum?
Yeah, well, drone racing is really growing, and we're also kind of seeing the industry take shape, which is pretty exciting. I think we're servicing a real gap right now, a real need. There's a lot of people that I talk to every single person that downloads our app. If you download it now and open it up, you'll get a message from me. And so I talk to a lot of folks that are just pilots that are just getting started, and they're all looking for someone to fly with or a place to fly. And it's, anyone that's done this before, who's an experienced pilot, will tell you that, you could sit online all day trying to get help and building your first drone or flying it, but there's nothing that beats just being face to face with someone and getting some mentorship or getting some support. So as this sport grows, we're going to be there to help connect people. And, we're making it really easy for people to run these racing events. It's not easy to do. And our app has been really helpful. So we're going to, our goal is to help enable people, get a lot of enjoyment out of the sport.
Is there an event in the next couple of months that you're going to be involved in that people can check out to see how the app performs? Yeah,
so there's a bunch of folks using it in their local areas. We're working on a big update to the app. So we haven't announced an event yet, but we're going to have another large scale test. So I'll look out for that.
Cool. I see that you're in about 580 cities. Do you know offhand how many users? Is that something you can share?
Yeah, that's not a number we share. I can tell you that we've been growing about 90% month over month for the past several months. So the growth rate is huge.
Okay.
So we're really excited about that. And, as we get more pilots out there, that means there's going to be more event listings and that kind of thing. So I encourage everyone to go out there and, download Drone Squad, open it up, and even if there's not an event there nearby, when you open up the app, you'll get a push notification when there is one. And so just keep it on your phone.
Is there a messaging application within the app that if I find a pilot that I think is interesting, can I send them a quick message, or do I have to come out to a third-party app and do that?
Not yet. I mean, I think the app is kind of event-centric, and we're looking forward to making it, exposing more information about the actual pilots and being able to kind of see that. We don't want to create another Facebook here, but I think there's definitely some social features that people would appreciate. So definitely look out for that soon.
In terms of any of the big sponsors or big companies that have been following, anybody that's shown an interest in being part of this whole experience?
Yeah, it's pretty flattering to say that some of the top leagues in the world have all approached us to use Drone Squad for their events. I've said no to all of them, which is, it's really hard to say no. It's very seductive to be asked to run a big event like that and get all that attention. But, we're super focused on creating a solution for clubs and teams. And right now, a lot of the big event organizers and the leagues like DSA and those guys, they have a lot of special needs, and we just want to stay focused. So maybe in the future, you'll see us at some of the big races. For now, we're focused on the clubs and teams and other meetups.
How has it been from a customer support standpoint? Is it intuitive enough and easy enough for a club to use without placing a bunch of demands on you and your staff to show them what to do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the feedback that we get and that I really am proud of is just around how easy the app is to use. We spend as much time throwing away features and redesigning things as we do adding new things to the app. So if we find out, because we're testing every version of the app out in the field, we're looking over pilots' shoulders constantly. I feel that's the only way you can make a good app. And it's because we spend all that time in the field and talking to pilots in our in-app chat mechanism that I have. It's not pilot to pilot. It's from our team to pilots. We learn a lot. So we take all that feedback and use it to improve the app. And so I've been told that some of the competing systems out there, someone told me, I was talking to them about, I guess there's Lifetime RC, and I don't know, there's a pretty steep learning curve with some of these products. I don't want to call them out necessarily, but, I was told that it could take almost a week to kind of get up to speed. And, when you download our app and start using it, I tell people to just try it out with a couple of buddies first, if you're going out flying and get a feel for it. And then usually that's all it takes before we run a full-scale meetup.
So, Pete, let's summarize. Why would a drone pilot want to use your app?
Pilots who go to an event that's being run by Drone Squad can really enjoy a hassle-free world-class event. It's going to be run well. They're going to be informed of, when it's their turn with the push notifications and, what their score is, where they stand, and it just makes it a fun and relaxing experience for pilots.
And then for organizers, what's the selling point for them?
As an organizer, Drone Squad lets you easily plan and manage your drone racing event. We give you all kinds of tools to run your event like a boss, like I say.
And then for the drone enthusiast, the person that just wants to fly with people.
If you're new to the world of drone sports or drone racing and you're just learning, I suggest that you download the app and see if there's a meetup near you, because I'd recommend that when you're getting into the hobby that you meet other people that are doing it and get help and support while you're learning. And then hopefully later on when you learn a little bit, you'll do the same for the next guy.
And then my last question, Pete, what do you hope that people walk away with after using your app for a couple times?
Yeah, after people use our app for a meetup, I just want them to look back and say, oh man, Drone Squad app allowed me to relax and have a good time today. And it took a lot of the stress and hassle out of running this event. It's all about people going out there and flying and having a good time. There's, it's a great sport and it's a real social thing, and it should be fun. It shouldn't be hard.
And one last time, how do people get the app?
Drone Squad's available for iOS or Android. So just go to the store, search for Drone Squad, download the app. And then as soon as you register for an account, you'll start getting updates about local events near you.
That's it for episode 67 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Pete Mauro and learning about Drone Squad's mobile app. I want to thank Pete for taking the time to talk about the app and about Drone Squad. If you want more information about the app or about Drone Squad, or just want to connect with Pete, check out their website at dronesquad.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a positive review and comment on iTunes. It really does help. And I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.